working with someone who is older than me, especially a man who already has an ego, that I need to kind of be like, yeah, no, forget about that. This is what we're going to do. You're going to do as I say. You know, you're not here to teach me. I'm not here to listen to you. And that was one of the challenges that I've had. My name is Amal Al-Muftah and I live in Qatar.
Hello, you guys. Welcome to another episode of Qatar in Quotes. I'm your host, Ria Sayadi, and I'm joined by the amazing, outstanding, and phenomenal filmmaker, Amal Al-Muftah.
Thank you. Honestly, it's a pleasure for me. Thank you guys for taking, the extra step to reach out.
First of all, Amal Al-Muftah, thank you so much for being with us here today. We're really excited. It's really astounding for us to have amazing and phenomenal filmmakers that rose from NUQ. Would you like to introduce yourself a bit?
Well, I'm a filmmaker. I actually went to NUQ to study filmmaking. I've started making films ever since I was in high school. I went to QA. I wasn't born and I was like, oh, I want to be a director. I wanted to be a lot of things. And my curiosity would make me kind of go from thing to thing, overnight. One day I wanted to be an astronaut, and another day I'm like, I'm really inspired by Ugly Betty. I want to work in a magazine. And it wasn't until I actually made films in QA that I was like, you know what, this is it. This is my thing. So I've been making films ever since. I've made 2 films, fiction films, since I was in NUQ, Smitcha and Shop. And right now I'm working on a feature documentary in collaboration with DFI and QNM.
So now that you've been telling us all about your film experiences, what really got you interested in that? Because there must have been this instance or this course. So what was it that got you interested in film?
When I was a child, I had interests in many things. So I tried multiple things. And one of the things was to make films. There was a film class offered in QA at the time. And the class, it's part of the arts programs. So in QA, they have 4 arts programs: theater, drama, music, and film. And because all of the classes were full, they took me to music. And I love music. I play guitar and oud. And I was like, you know what? This is going to be great. I'm going to give it a try. Yeah, it didn't work out. And luckily, someone had dropped out of film class, and they knew I really wanted to be in film class. And that guy, if he hadn't dropped film class, I don't know if I'll be here today. Because when he dropped film class, I went there and I was just, at the beginning, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. This is a lot of things going on. And then I was like, no, this is the one thing that I can be myself. I can express myself. I know I won't get bored. I won't ever get bored from filmmaking, because you never make the same film twice. You're always shooting different things. You're always dealing with different people. You never have to sit in a space. You never have to worry about having an office, because the world is your office. You go out every day and you explore, and that's what filmmaking was. And that was what attracted me at the time. And I was like, yep, this is it. Filmmaking is what's going to encompass everything else that I love and kind of put it in a package for me, and that's filmmaking.
What was the first film that you directed or produced in Qatar Academy?
First film I ever shot was a documentary. It was called Split Seconds, and it was about car accidents in Doha. And the reason I made that documentary was that QA, in collaboration with MUN, with Thyman actually at the time, they had a film festival. And the film festival was one that kind of advocated, social issues, topics that were in discussion worldwide. So if you were to get into the festival, you'd have to have a documentary that tackles some sort of issue, be it environmental, social. So I made a film about car accidents. I remember I got a bunch of guys who went with me to school, and I was like, hey guys, you want to do this? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. And we went out and we shot it, and then it got into the festival. It won best sound or best audience award. It didn't win a huge prize. So the year after, I made Al-Hammali, which was a documentary, and Al-Hammali was on YouTube. I remember submitting it to the festival, and one of the conditions for this festival is that they need to upload it on YouTube. And for any filmmaker, anything that goes online, that's it, your film's dead. So I was like, you know what, it's a, you know, short film, whatever, it's not going to be a big deal. So we put it on online, and once the festival announced all of the films and they posted them online, I took that link and I submitted, I put it on Twitter, I sent it to my family, whatever. That was before the festival happened. So people watched it, and in like 3 days, it blew up in the context of Doha. It had 100,000 views at the time, like 2014, 100,000 views in Doha, something that everyone is talking about. That was major. And people were sending me broadcasts, people were sending me tweets, and it was just like overwhelming. Like the amount of feedback that I got, it was just so overwhelming.
Well, I mean, this sounds really not just interesting, but inspiring at the same time, because you started from QA, from just having these like tiny scenes that just won an audio award, to you just having amazing short films, fiction films, Snisha, and now you're working on your own documentary in collaboration with DFI. And I'm pretty sure this is not, the end of it. I feel like there's just so much more from Amal Al-Muftah. It's just like, it's just time. It takes time for us to see what you have. But, since you are an NUQ alumni, did NUQ play a role in shaping your filmmaking career? Did the professors aid you somehow, or was it, just you?
I'll be very honest. I had a list of universities that I wanted to go to, and they offered filmmaking programs and, all of these. And I got accepted into every university I applied to. NUQ was always on the bottom of my list. And when the time came, I decided I'm going to go to NUQ. I'm going to give it a year. If I don't like it, I'm going to go apply to another university. So I went to NUQ, and people there know my work and know something about me, especially because the festival itself that I had won, Hamali had won, I forgot to mention, Hamali won the best film prize in that festival, and the dean of NUQ attended, and of course people from NUQ were at the festival. So already that had given me a kind of like ticket or like an entrance to NUQ. So by the time I was in NUQ, I know a couple of people because it's still a QF environment. In the first year, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. No, this is not a film school, and I just want to leave. And then I remember I had a close relationship with Professor Scott Curtis. He just changed my perspective on understanding films, on watching films, and knowing exactly what a film is, and seeing it differently, especially now that I understand the language that Professor Scott Curtis taught us on how to watch film, just made me appreciate films even more. So I was like, no, I don't want to go here, Professor Scott. I think I'm going to leave. Can you write me a letter of recommendation? I want to go to this university. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take a semester off. I'm going to travel, do whatever, and then I'm going to come back. So I took a semester off. I went to New York. I did absolutely nothing over there. I just did my own thing. I was, exploring the city. I was learning new things. I came back knowing how to sail, to sew, to, I picked up a few things there. I came back with all of these new skills that have nothing to do with filmmaking. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go back to NUQ. So I went back to NUQ, and luckily for me, as the years passed by, new professors came in. I introduced myself to professors there that really changed myself as a creative. Anne Woodward, Marco Williams, and Veronica Skest. Every year, a new professor would be introduced to me, through his class or whatever, and I would just be like, yeah, this is exactly what I need. This is it. Because I had a struggle in NUQ because it wasn't a filmmaking school, and I really wanted that filmmaking experience.
I did get the honor in meeting Marco Williams and Professor Anne Woodward, and they did change my perspective. And it's really not unfortunate, but it's like they're the, in this huge field of rice, you just find these two grains that just look different. And it was Marco and it was Anne for you. For me, it was Marco. So I relate to that. I still reach out to him for advice and help. And it feels nice. It feels nice knowing that out of these 4 years, you found someone that you can follow and just talk to and is a mentor to you.
One of the amazing opportunities that I got while I was in NUQ, while I was a senior with 5 credits to finish, I got to work with DFI and QM on a permanent exhibition, a permanent kind of installation that's going to go in the National Museum of Qatar. And I was doing that. I was going to classes, I was shooting, and it was a lot of things. But had I gone elsewhere, had I been, in the States or in the UK, this opportunity would have never happened. I mean, this opportunity on its own, like for someone my age, it doesn't happen. Like you don't get it like that. And that was why I realized, like after staying in Doha, I was like, this is it. Like this is the reason why I'm here. I really appreciate, NUQ, even though they didn't really give me everything that I wanted. I appreciate what they're trying to offer. But I understand that for me to kind of really make the most of what, of my experience as a filmmaker and try to learn the most, I need to do my own thing.
Yeah, like we all not really relate, but we somehow relate to the fact that NUQ doesn't fully satisfy your needs, but it opens the door and it's like, go, like I'm giving you these opportunities, these, chances, and you just either take them or you don't. When you grow up in an environment that's supportive, that plays a role. And when you grow in an environment that's not supportive, that also sort of marginalizes your goals as a filmmaker. So how was the environment that you grew up in?
I wouldn't say that they were extremely supportive or, my parents had their reservations about filmmaking. They did not see it as something serious until I proved to them otherwise, until I made Al-Hamali. It's a different kind of film that opened people's eyes to people in society. It looked almost like a good deed. And then after winning awards and that, they were like slightly kind of being like, okay, we don't mind this is nice. And then seeing my film and NUQ, they were like, cool, okay, when are you going to stop doing this? Like still, like there's still that expectation that someday I'm going to move on from this and I'm going to do something else. But you know what? My friends are there to support me. My parents are supportive. Like they're not going to be like, no, you can't go and shoot. Like they're going to give me their green light, but it's just like, it's not the kind of support that you kind of envision.
I feel like as time goes by, they're just gonna have to digest this reality and that you're gonna just keep on doing these films. But like I watch them and they're amazing, they're phenomenal. Like everything about every single film fiction that you've done is different. You had like Fi Amal, that was different. And then you had the latest one, which was Misha, that was different. They were all amazing, not gonna lie. So you shouldn't stop. You're inspiring a lot of people, and especially girls. Since you talked about supportiveness of your family, what struggles did you initially face?
I think what people kind of imagine when they see me or they see other filmmakers, especially women, they imagine that the biggest challenge for them is that they're women and they're working on a set full of men and they just have to be kind of in command and they have to direct other people and they have to be strict. But that for me, like surprisingly, that's been going really smooth for me here in Doha, because you know what? Most of filmmakers here in Doha are women and a lot of crew members are actually women. So it's been really rewarding for me, like being around women and seeing how men react to myself. But I have had a few experiences recently where people question myself because I'm a girl, especially if the crew members are like older, if they're actors who are older. It's like all of a sudden there's like this need to like teach you. Like I'm here to teach you something. Like I know I'm working with you, but I want to teach you. I just want to teach you one thing, and it's you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. And that's what I hate. Like that was one of the really the challenging things for me, working with someone who is older than me, especially a man who already has an ego that I need to kind of be like, yeah, no, forget about that. This is what we're going to do. You're going to do as I say. You're not here to teach me. I'm not here to listen to you. And that was one of the challenges that I've had. And sometimes it's hard because sometimes people were, crew members would just be like, if this is how it's going to be, I'm just going to, give you some sort of attitude. And sometimes you just have to work with that. Like you just have to kind of know how to deal with that.
One thing you said that caught my attention was when you said that when you're working with an older man, he feels the need to like just teach you. It's like you're ignorant, unaware, and he's supposed to like guide you somewhere. When you don't listen to him, it just busts his ego. And that has been very common I encountered it with DFI. I was interning for them, and that was an experience that I had. They would be like, "This is the shot that you have to take. This is the thing that you're supposed to do." We weren't working on a movie whatsoever, but somehow they felt like the need to just add this input somehow. So I'm really glad that you stood your ground, because it's not just for you; it's also for us. You're proving a point that women can take their own ground, can stand the ground, and can say no. In a sense, it's like, I'm the director. What I want happens. And that's what you did. I mean, since your parents were supportive, but they had this like mentality that we want our daughter to have a desk job. What was society's perception of you pursuing filmmaking as a career, not just a hobby?
I remember the first time I said anything about pursuing filmmaking, I was gathered with a bunch of family members, and I was like, I really want to study I'lam, communication, and people. You're not going to do that. You're not going to study. That's such a bad industry. Why would you, why would you delve into that industry? And it was because people, when you tell them filmmaking, they think of television, they think of theater, they think of the already existing industries here in Doha. They think, of radio, but it's none of that. It's none of it above. It's cinema. It's something that it does not exist in Doha. And once I started to kind of make films, and people saw that this is different than the films we see in cinema. This is different from the things we watch on TV or the plays that we see in the theater. This is something completely different. Then people started to be like, this is amazing. We need to support this. And it wasn't until watching, Qatari made films and people seeing themselves on the big screen, being like, oh, this is the jam'iyah that I used to go to, or like, oh, this is the way I say this word, or oh, this is how I like to eat my rice. That people were all of a sudden appreciative of what cinema does and what cinema means.
Would you consider just solely focusing on documentaries or fiction, or are you going to do like a mixture of both?
A filmmaker should not be like, I'm documentary filmmakers, or I'm fiction filmmakers, or I'm just this and just that. For me, if tomorrow I get an amazing project that's commercial, I'm going to do it. If it's something that means that I'm going to, test, like be creative and try something new, I'm going to do it. If tomorrow I get an art installation, I'm going to do it. Anything that involves a moving image or an image static, I'm going to do it. Because for me, the medium is so used, is so kind of incorporated in everyday life that it's really kind of, it upsets me when people try to limit themselves as like just fiction filmmaking. There's so much potential in filmmaking. There's so much that you can do.
I would just love to quote you and take these quotes and just use them in my life, because everything you just mentioned is something that has been pondering in my head, and I never really thought much of it. So, since you're an aspiring Arab female filmmaker, what advice would you tell young aspiring Arab female filmmakers, or just those that are trying to do something that's considered weird and non-conventional in their society?
Do what pleases you, and always listen to yourself. Like, if you keep going to people and asking them for advice, you're going to pollute your own mindset and your own creativity. You can listen to yourself. You can listen to what your intuition tells you. You can listen to what and I'm going to go very Paulo Coelho on you, what your journey is telling you. I think you don't need people's advice. Yes, people are going to be like, okay, put this shot here and that there. Okay, maybe this kind of advice, yeah. But overall, when you're passionate about something and when you really care about it, all you need is just that passion and the drive.
Amal, honestly, this entire conversation was really insightful, and I'm pretty sure this is going to inspire a lot of girls that are going to listen to this podcast and are going to listen to this episode and are going to be like, we want to be Amal Al-Muftah. We want to be the next Amal Al-Muftah, because it's really an inspiration to see you just do all of that at such a young age, that you're just going to open segues for other girls that want to do much more. Maybe sport, maybe it's art, God knows what it may be, but you're just like the milestone of that. So thank you so much, Amal.